explain lolcow for the boomers. Lolcow is when a group of like the lowest tier fucking losers, including us in this community, decide that like someone else is an even bigger loser than they are. So then they spend every fucking waking moment, trying to find ways in which like this guy sucks. And I'm not even speaking about this for like low tier God, by the way. He might actually suck. I don't really know. Sometimes they do legitimately suck, but it's basically like legitimately doing gang stalking and harassing for some of the most mentally ill people on the internet, conducted oftentimes by even more mentally ill people, in a way to, I think, feel better about their own personal mental illness. You know what I mean? They're like, well, I might be like a freakazoid that spends all their time in fucking internet forums, but like this person's an even bigger freak than me. Look at this guy. He's really bad. Maybe I'll look good in comparison to that guy. That type of thing. Lolcow is the person being made fun of, not the group themselves. No, I know. I'm flipping the fucking narrative on it, though. Because oftentimes the people that do that kind of shit is basically like gang bullying. And sometimes it's like people that actually do suck. And then other times it could just be trans people in general. But oftentimes people do it. Again, this is not about low tier God or anything like that. But, you know, Dark Side Phil is like a famous lolcow. I think like, what is it? Crimson Wing is another one. Chris Chan is like the most famous version. And it's like, none of those guys that I just mentioned to you are like overwhelmingly good people. Or was it Wings of Redemption, not Crimson Wing? I don't even know what the fuck that is. But like, a lot of these dudes are basically like, you know, they're not great. They're just like, you know, really fucked up. And then basically the community decides, like, their community of followers decide, oh, I'm watching this guy because he fucking sucks, and I want everyone else to know he fucking sucks. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make his life even shittier just to get like some kind of pleasure out of like how he reacts to it. Because if put in a high pressure situation, the guy who sucks is going to suck even harder. And that's pretty much it. And that's why I always say whenever I look at people that I find to be like funny, dumb, stupid, I always tell you, do not tap the glass. Don't tap the fucking glass. I want those people to behave naturally in their own natural environment without any sort of like additional scrutiny, because they're making content for us regardless. But a lot of people in lolcow communities love tapping the glass. Like, fuck it, not even tapping the glass. They love actually busting through that glass and like directly trying to ruin this person's life, almost like turning them into their own fanciful content monkey that they get to ruin the lives of. But they make it a hobby out of bullying a single person, encyclopedia articles and shit. It's wild this stuff happens. Yes. Sometimes, yeah, it is just targeted harassment. Yeah, for sure. It's also just enough bullying for the lolcow to acknowledge, but not enough to stop creating the content the trolls love to hate. It's ongoing. Yeah, it's this like really dark cycle. It's this very dark cycle because like it also has a lot of negative consequences for the person who is doing it to them, who's doing it to some other people. You know what I mean? Like the people who regularly derive content out of that kind of thing are oftentimes like very, very sad people. Is Nikocado considered a lolcow? Yes. Yes, exactly. There are plenty of examples of this. Every content creator has a group of individuals behind them that like try to turn them into a lolcow in general. I myself have a lot of hate watchers that desperately try to do it. But ultimately it doesn't really matter, because if you have a big enough audience of people who enjoy your content for its own sake and not to like dramatically manipulate your life and like try to fucking ruin it, then it's not going to work. Most of the time, people actually also turn themselves into lolcows as well. They feed into it because they desperately want to make sure that they maintain an audience. So they lean into that, make a fool of themselves. And I think that's probably not a very good thing to do for your own mental faculties. it can lead you down this like devastating pipeline where you actually end up being very sad. But I guess people would rather be very sad and still make money rather than be poor and not have a ton of hate watchers. So that's it. That's usually how that goes. And then there are content creators that are like in between. Like Aiden Ross started off as a bit of a lolcow, but then was able to like genuinely bring about a lot of people in his community to love him, and then went back to his lolcow ways a little bit now. I Show Speed started off as a bit of a lolcow, but then was so massive and so powerful as a content creator that he basically turned away from that and is like a content creator in his own right. And you know, but the problem is if you push yourself to the limit to make yourself look like you know, a silly person that everyone's going to make fun of, it's hard to dance around that. The difference between someone who is like very clearly making fun of themselves versus someone who is being deliberately targeted, gang stalked, cyber stalked, and being made fun of is not a very thick line. It's a very fine line, you know? So, you know, it can go either way. Speaking of which, though, I don't get what's wrong with low-cal milk. No, lolcow comes from, you have so many haters, but I think you actually have significantly less hate watchers than some other streamers, because I actually think if those people watch you enough, they would start understanding your political views. Yeah. Pretty much any intentional lolcow eventually gets doxxed and realize they can't make content without being harassed forever. Yes, exactly. XQC is a great example of someone who's not a lolcow, who like personally farms, you know, laughter from his audience by making himself out to be like dumb, but then there's still a lot of love for him in his own community. He is the farmer himself. Probably one of the greatest examples of someone who has been able to like make fun of himself while still maintaining charitability, even though he still has hate watchers and people who dox him and DDoS him all the fucking time. So that's a great example of like someone who's been able to farm people making fun of him to his advantage and basically leaning into how dumb he is. Like, oh, look at how dumb I am. I'm actually way dumber than you thought I was. So yeah. All cows don't actually recognize it. They're one until too late. This is my understanding of the least. Yeah. So, my favorite content creator that is a lolcow, I try and balance with the haters and offer positive comments. We're not going to do that. So, being very poor and sad versus very rich and sad is a tough choice, especially if you have to sell out yourself to do so. I see why people do lolcow. I wouldn't do it, but tough choice. Yeah. But anytime you hear my hate watchers and the way that they try to change your attitude towards me, for example, know that they are coming from exactly those very same forums that literally try to make a lolcow out of every single trans person with the express purpose of trying to get them to kill themselves. And those guys will do everything they can to disparage the target and make other people also watch the content in the same way that they're watching it. Yeah, they'll send you DMs. Like, they're fucking super deranged. And there is an endless amount of sad, super sad people on the internet. So, of course, there's an endless amount of people that will do incredibly unhinged things and will take it to a level where you're like, well, no one is this crazy. They must be real. They must be serious. There must be some serious issues with this person because no one would be that fucking deranged to lie like this. Nope. Newsflash, they do that. They actually do. They literally are that deranged. So that is the express purpose of it, matey. What is this? He said it's like pretending to be Wings and talking to underage girls. I don't know who Wings is. It's like really bad. I was interested in it, but I realized how messed up it was. That is the express purpose of it, matey. Yeah, exactly. See, this person was at the precipice of like being one of those like lolcow makers. But that's usually what it is. So I hope you guys understand that.